everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted to communicate with those you've lost or experience life beyond life, then do we have the Where Did You Go show for you. Today we'll be talking with Christina Rasmussen, internationally recognized grief educator, the author of Second First, and the author of a brilliant read. Jessica and I will be working with time and time again, Where Did You Go? And that's just what I want to talk with her about today, about how we can all take a life-changing journey to connect with those we've lost. That, plus we'll talk about purple balls of yarn, moons and bridges, holographic universes, necklaces and 3 blue stones, bookshelves and universes, Avatar and the Last Airbender, and what in the world Bjorn at a cafe has to do with anything. So welcome to the show, Christina. Are you ready to shine?
Oh my goodness. So good to be here, Michael. This is amazing. Amazing. I'm shining.
Woohoo!
Woo!
I'm so glad to have you here as well. We've had this whole conversation beforehand, so it's interesting to see what will come back up and what new stuff will come up during the show. Before we dive right into things, though, if we go back in time in your life, did you grow up with a spiritual background that suggested you'd be able to take people on life after life journeys?
I don't think so, right? Everything seemed normal, and I was living in a little town, small town in Greece, growing up very traditionally, with my parents and my sister, and this world was completely foreign to me then, I feel. Yeah, completely. This is almost like I was reborn when everything happened, like redirected into a new path.
You know, it's interesting that you used the word reborn because we're going to be talking about doorways and we're talking about reborn.
Mm.
But the reborn, forgive me, actually came out of the door swinging the other direction at age
Mhm.
34.
Yes. And my beloved husband, who died at age 35, and I was 34, he had stage 4 colon cancer. He was handsome, genius, smart. The world loved him, and he loved the world. And we had 2 young daughters. And he was diagnosed with colon cancer at age 31, and died at age 35. And I pause when I say this this part. It's been 12 years. I'm 46 now,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter how long time goes by. The impact of losing someone you love from this physical reality is always going to be part of me, no matter how much I've healed. And I have an incredible life, and I love living. I love life. I love this reality, however real or not it is. But grief and loss can completely impact you. And I believe I died that day with him. I really did. I didn't know it because I kept my body. I always say it like this. He was the one who died, and I was the one who stayed alive. But I died with him that day. The woman that woke up the next day wasn't the one that went to sleep that night. Yeah. Yeah.
As someone who's had a couple NDEs, um, the person you wake up with these events where you touch the other side and whatever that is, you're a different person. Completely.
You must be a completely different after your NDEs. Michael, you must have been like completely reborn, like immediately.
So it still confuses the nervous system because when I go back and access my memories from beforehand, it's me, but it's not me. and
It's not you, but it is, but it isn't. Yes. Yeah.
and there's still wiring, there's still grooves in the record that you can fall back into your old patterns and ways. Not that they're all bad, but then there's such a schism between that and the record that you're
Mhm.
playing now.
Yeah.
For yourself, it didn't occur
Hmm.
to me till this moment. But it's not only, and I never, forgive me, I never expected to be going here. It's not just that he passed, but there was such an expectation of how the passing would go in the end. I'm talking the very end, and
Hmm.
how it was diametrically opposed. It was the exact opposite in a sense of what you got. That shock or shock wave that went through you actually set you on your course.
Yeah, I mean, he was such a reader as well, and he had learned so many things about death because we knew he was dying. I mean, imagine, and I was preparing myself, he was preparing himself as much as one can never prepare about something like this. And when it all happens, and I've read all the books about people seeing things and looking around to see the soul rising from the chest, and Michael, I know I can be humorous sometimes. I like humor even in topics such as this, and when I'm heartbroken. But I am sitting next to him while he's passing, and I remember at the time, like, this is the moment. Now I'm gonna see something. And I remember looking up, and I didn't see anything. I remember thinking there was nothing. There was no proof. There was no evidence. There was nothing in my experience at the time to say he's still alive. And from that day forward, the quest really started later. But that question, where did you go? Like, I wanted to even swear and scream and say another word in the where did you go bar. But that's the question that I couldn't answer for a really, really long time. And I wanted to, in my own way, not in the way that others have answered it, but in my own way. And then that's what I did. Yeah, but it wasn't what I expected or what I read, or it is very, very different experience for me. Yeah.
Oh, and from what I understand, he, God, I had such a hard time reading this. I was reading it in the kitchen, and Jessica came over because I'm just crying. um, but it was so phenomenal that he got to say goodbye to your kids.
Oh, Michael. And everything, that chapter that details the whole experience, every detail is in there. Like, he said, call the kids, bring the kids, and he said goodbye to the kids. And anyway, it was my turn, and sorry, I look away, but I'm just like revisiting this place, and he turned away. It's like almost like he wasn't gonna say goodbye to me, and maybe I know now why, because he never wanted to say goodbye to me, and and that's how it was. And then, as I mentioned in the book, where all of a sudden he was in the coma and he got up and looked like, and he looked at me, and this was the first time in our life together, in our decade together. We were married for 8 years, 10 together. He looked at me, and he didn't look like he recognized me. Like, it was almost as if he was already, like, he looked at me and then started calling out something forward, like, and the nurses, someone called the nurses. I wish nobody called the nurses. The nurse came in and trying to give him the morphine. He's like, and they're like, how in the world is he getting up? Because this was the end. There was no way. And he was looking at something, and he was going somewhere, and he wanted to go, like, physically go to wherever he went. And we were all in the room. And one of the things he would tell me prior to him dying, 2 days before, he said to me, he used to call me my love. He would say, my love, I want you to know this. In this room right now, there are people that are alive. There was me. And then there are also people that I know they're dead, but they're in this room. And I remember, Michael, thinking to myself, he's really getting close now. He could see. There was a friend who died of cancer. He was there, he said to me, and they're just standing at the end of his room. And then he would have a dream or two, and he would wake up, and that's probably around 24 to 48 hours before he passed. And he would say that he was skiing. He was a skier. I mean, he was an athlete. I mean, he was incredible. I'm biased, but he was. And he said to me, in the dreams he was skiing, and it was he was describing the most magical experiences just before he was about to die. And he was afraid. He didn't want to go. But towards the end, I saw the peace, and then, as I say in the book, the nurse the other nurse came in and said to me, Christina, he can hear you. And I was like, what? And he's like, look, let me show you. And just for everyone who's watching and listening to this, he's now a few hours away from passing. And like he's in a complete coma, like there is nothing. And she goes and calls his name, and he goes, like this. And I was like, I can connect with him now, like as he's like completely gone. And so she said, try it out. And I go, and I would say, I love you. And he said, I love you. And she would go, like this. And Michael, we went like this all the way to the last second, his last breath. Like this is the thing about death. You're here and then you're not. And you know this, you're here and then you're not. And even the sentence, and then you're not, is too slow for how quickly you're not. Right? It's amazing. How can it be that a whole existence can be here and they're not, unless they're just going somewhere else?
It literally
So
sounds to me as you describe it as he was sitting up because he was waiting to get on the train.
he was leaving this place, and he was still here, but he was, and he, when he looked at me, there was no like, I knew it's time for him to go in that moment. Like, however completely devastating it was for us, I mean, until the moment comes, you can prepare for something like this. It's not possible to understand it until it happens. And I know a lot of people who are watching and our audience, they've all been in this place. And unless you have experienced, you don't know. But he was gone even before he was gone, I feel. Yeah.
So if we fast forward, and thank you so much for
And
sharing.
thank you for asking. Yeah.
If we fast forward, maybe you can tell us about a drawing that your daughter Isabel gave you soon after his passing.
Thank you for reading the book. It means so much to me, and I can tell because of the way the book is. You cannot guess what's inside the book, correct? It could be just like a theoretical explanation of things. The book is unique, and unless you read the book, you cannot know the book. So my daughter Isabel drew our family, and there was this. It was after his passing, and there was this cloud-looking thing next to our heads, like this. And she was, at the time, he died when she was 4. So a few months later, like 4.5, I'm really young, really small. And I was like, and she came and sat on my lap, and I was like, honey, what is this picture? And she goes, this is mommy, this is daddy, this is you, this is, and I said, what's this? And this is the ghost. And then she jumped off my lap, and as they do, went off her merry way, and I'm like, she can see this, we have something. He was here with us, right next to it was literally, and then this is the ghost. But she had never told me about it in any other way. She drew it because she didn't think that was abnormal. For her, that was her experience. And I got chills even thinking about it now, Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So eventually, and it sounds like during this time there's a lot of, and all the terminology around the grief process drives you insane, and it is very contradictory.
Okay.
But eventually, you find someone special, you remarry, you move from Boston to North Carolina, and you get your first peak experience. In other words, your first knock on the door that says you're not going to be able to forget that there's more going on than meets the eye.
Yeah, and we moved to California. And I want to go to North Carolina, though. I've never been. Maybe that's a sign that I need to visit North Carolina for some reason. We moved to California, in our house
Up on a hill.
I won't say my address but there's the word sky on it.
Very
And
nice.
no coincidence, right? And when you see, I'll tell you later, the whole address, it's fascinating that I live there. The house that we got was nearly sold to someone else, and I wrote a letter. to the person who owned the house without knowing who she was or anything like that. I said, here's me and my husband. We're a blended family. We both lost our spouses. Here's the work that I do. And I'm going to write my next book from here. And the views from this house, because we're at the top of the mountain, it is incredible. She takes the offer away from the other person. Like, she says, no, I'm not going to sell it. She gives us the house, and she writes a message saying, when my daughter was 18 years old, she died at a tragic car accident. Thank you so much for the work that you do. Here's the house. This was our house. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. Like, it will be hard for me to move from that house because of everything. And then I started sitting and working from outside. And I had my very first peak experiences in having a peak experience and having the other experiences of the book. They're very different things, actually, in the way that they're experienced. My peak, I felt so much joy, and it was almost as if everything was just like I was blown away by it. It was and that joyful feeling kind of stayed with me for a few days afterwards. And I was like, is it because I've been drinking more water? Like, I was trying to figure out how come I felt that.
Peak experience. Grab a bottle of water. Go. Chug a lug. You're good.
Like, because I remember thinking, because I'm such a student, I like to understand.
And I love that you geek out on this stuff.
Right? Oh, like, how? Why? What is it? And then I read all about it, and I'm like, and that's when I said, okay, we need to really, dive into to learning. We moved into that house 5 years ago now. So I was just coming out with my first book, and I was starting to have these experiences. So my journey with my first book was taking place, and this book was positioning itself. Even though I didn't want to, I was like tired, and like I was on a book tour, you know how it is. Like, I was like, this book was literally just coming in, literally coming in. And I started the research on this. And Michael, as you know, oh boy, how can I not share this? I did not want to write this book. Because it comes with so much, right? So much stigma and making this book, putting it into the reincarnation, afterlife, mediumship categories. Hey, Michael, it doesn't fit in any of those categories.
Put it in the category of life.
Right? Category of existence, of what, it's like a guidebook of what we need to know, of what we're made of and why we're here, and what it is that we are supposed to do. And so when I started delving into the world, I was using the knowledge in my own life, and I felt like a hypocrite because I've done this work called Life Reentry, my Life Reentry Institute, and all the things that I've done there. It's amazing.
And to pause you there, but life reentry in this case isn't talking about near death or anything like this. You're talking about, how do I re-enter existence after losing a loved one?
But isn't it interesting?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I called it. Without ever expecting this part of Michael, just like your last name, just like everything is meant to be sometimes in the way it's supposed to be. When I look at the word life reentry now, and it's life reentry, it's all about brain science. It's about re-entering life and not being stuck in that waiting mode and not feeling well, and really creating a brand new chapter of your life. And we've helped thousands of people with this. Like, this is amazing. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this new thing that is the next step, and it's the evolution of everything that I've ever known? And for a long time, I did not want to write the book. I wrote this book not for me. It's my gift. And anyone could try to call me medium of any kind, or I'm like, no. So whenever I had and we'll talk about this, Michael, but whenever I've had some experiences where you see, I'm even struggling to even say it, but I've had some experiences where I don't actually like to call people dead at all. So I don't like that word. It's not real. It's like I've had some experiences with people from beyond the physical reality trying to connect with me, and it freaked me out so much. I was like, someone said to me, "So, Christina, did you think that you created this bridge and gateway only for you to connect with your loved one and for everyone else to connect with their loved one? You didn't think their loved ones were going to try and connect with you?" I said, "I know." I said, I didn't think of that at all, Michael, at all.
There's a movie I've watched several times. It is, it always, there's something about it that disappoints me in it, and I can't pinpoint it at the moment. But it's about this poor schlub of a dentist
Hmm.
who dies on the table in a. Have you seen this movie?
What
Uh,
is the name of it?
uh, um, if I don't come up with it right now, I'm not going to.
Oh, oh, Ghost something?
Yes, 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 yes.
Go,
Ghost.
yes, this British. He's a British guy.
Absolutely, that's the
I
one.
know which movie. Yes.
You
Yeah.
have to
Go ahead.
watch it. I think there's some ways that I would have fine-tuned the script,
I need to see
although
it again.
it
Yeah.
it grows on me.
Yeah.
But he was like you, conscripted. He's like, I want nothing to do with this. I don't want people showing up in my apartment.
It's scary. Actually, Michael, when it started happening to me, they started coming in my sleep, and it's like actually it's funny. I read a year after it started to happen. I read Tyler Henry's book, and in the beginning of it, he talks about how it started happening, and it started making sense to me. So let's say I'm falling asleep, and the first experience was a 19-year-old boy, and let me just say, okay, it was like reading a newspaper. This is not. I'm not gonna guess. There's no B. What's the name of B? How like this was like immediate, fast, and I knew what it was. And I get up and I'm like, no, like this was not okay with me. This young man, 19-year-old, he said, "My name is." I'm not gonna say his name because I have not shared with his mom about this.
Mhm.
I decided because I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to, I am not here to be the communicator. I'm here to show you the way that you can do it to start you out on this journey. But he said, "I'm 19 years old. This is my name." And that's when I just go, I can't. And I felt so guilty. And then I've had a few others, equally scary. But towards the last one, I've started to feel like, Christina, you opened this gateway. You've done a lot of opening of the gateway. I mean, this is like I've taken lots of people. I mean, this is not just a little door. It's a gateway, and it should be okay to experience things like that. And I guess for me, they provided also more proof for my brain because I'm like you. Like I question everything.
Mhm.
Like this is why I had to write. I had to find. This was my own quest. I question everything. What do you mean you can hear? What do you mean you can see? Like, is it really like that? And if it is, tell me, how clear is it? How real? Like and when does it like I'm an investigator of the invisible world, you know?
We teach a process. I was talking with you about it briefly beforehand called automatic writing. And when I
Hmm.
first started getting into automatic writing and the words started to flow, I was so shocked by it. I figured this has to be ego. This has to be my thinking mind. I was so distressed. I put it down and away for a year or two, picked it up again, got so immediately distressed about it, put it down for another year, and then came back to it. And that's how the show came and everything came. And then I'm going, what do you mean I have to
Wow.
write about this? What do you mean I have
Yes.
to share this? But I just didn't believe it for such a long time.
Even
And
doubting yourself, right, Michael?
oh,
You're
heck
doubting
yeah.
like your own experience. Yes. Yeah.
So, so we're going to segue from there, and I want to talk about the bridge and how everybody can get there.
Hmm.
And I'm
Yeah.
chuckling. I think it's my wife upstairs. It's the first time during an interview it's happened that the light that's attached to a ceiling fan, the light has just gone off as you were saying this, and the ceiling fan has turned on its own.
Well, Michael, I told you before the interview, weird things happen.
This will be in the weird category, and it's probably this one probably does have a logical explanation of a button being pushed elsewhere in the house, but but maybe not, and it'll be interesting to see.
I have chills actually when you're saying that. It's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
The fan is stopping now.
It's stopping now, right?
It is.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is. So I was in automatic writing a couple weeks ago, and I was writing about our, I'm going to call it temporary loss of what we call our baby girl, Hannah,
Yeah.
due to a miscarriage. And I was getting this understanding about waves and particles and about before somebody is in this, we'll call it holographic world, they are in a wave form. And as soon as sperm meets egg, they start to become into a particle form and still go back and forth until they're mainly particle once birth is given. Then I was reading your book, and all of a sudden you're talking about the temple world, and I need to know what that is for everybody. And you're talking about waves and particles and collapsing the wave.
I'm smiling so big right now, and if for those who are listening and not watching, I'm having so much fun. This is my favorite conversation. Like, we didn't even have to be doing this for a book or for an interview. We could be sitting on the couch talking about this, and basically what this is how I saw this. I was reading everything about the observer effect, about the multiverse, about the waves, the particles, the cat, the possibilities that
The
unless we
cat, that's
observe.
Schrodinger's cat.
Yes, like, I mean, I'm throwing like it was like, oh my gosh, what's that one got to do with death? Everything, everything. It's got to do like. So I said, okay, how do I access this? How do I take all of those discoveries? We have come far in our discoveries, but not far in our experiences in this time of our species where we are. And I said to myself, how can I take all of that and go like this and make it and bring it down for a person to experience? The very first thing I had to do was work with the brain. But imagine, just everyone who's listening, your brain, your brain's number one function is to tell you this is your only reality and to keep you safe within that container.
Survivor.
You know, like the survivor sound, and that's from the life entry model, which is this. It's almost like my first book was the bridge to this book, so I could write the bridge to the universe. Right? It was like, now I can look back, even just saying this out loud for the first time. Actually, I can look back and see the steps. The brain. There is something inside your brain, and you know this, that is the fear center, the amygdala. That part of the brain does not like change, or and to put it simply, and to put it in I want to simplify all of this language for people so they don't think they're doing brain science or quantum mechanics, that this is life. And this is what the first level of my work was just simplifying what the brain does. The brain basically looks at anything new that we're giving it, whether it's, hey, this is not real, or especially when you say this is not real, the brain's like, get the hell out of here. I'm going to tell you this is ridiculous and you're going crazy. And this is absolutely not true. So the brain will try to shut everything down. It's going to tell you you're not going to experience anything. You're not going to see anything. And even if you do experience something, and Michael, you know this, it's going to say, you must have imagined this.
It rewrites it. You think
Yes,
it's real.
yes,
You feel it's real. And then the brain steps in, and all of a sudden you're doubting yourself.
And so we did two test classes, one with just under 50 people and one with 64 people. And there were three groups in both of them. And this is the way the readers, your amazing audience, they're all in these categories, right? There's a large, actually, we have good news here. The bigger portion of the group are the ones that are experiencing and having euphoria. Oh my God, I can't believe I experienced this. And there's an exercise in the book that its sole purpose is to provide proof for the brain that this is a real reality and it's safe and it's okay. So there's this group of people that are like, this is great, I can't believe it, I need to do more, blah, blah. And there's a smaller group of people that says, I did experience what you said, and it sounds like this too. Christina, thank you for that. I did, yeah, I did. I'm not sure though if I imagined it or it was real, So I'm not really sold. And I'm using the words that I'm like, this is the smaller group. And yeah, I'll try again tomorrow, I guess. And it's like that. And we'll see. And then slowly some of them will win them over, because ultimately when you keep practicing and doing this, you will have moments of synchronicity, miracles, and proof that this is for real. The invisible world and this illusionary physical reality is connected. And the third group, and I know maybe one or two people here are in that group, they see nothing. They experience nothing. There is nothing. My guess is that those are the folks that could really experience a lot. Mm. And the brain is shutting everything down, making sure nothing gets out. Yeah. This is my little study. We will be studying the process as the years go by, just like life reentry. We'll study the changes, but so far, this is my discoveries of the results of trying to connect. And then the other thing, the very first step of what I have called, and just to explain to everyone what the temple journey is, I put together 5 steps that help you go deeper and deeper and deeper into the reality that's really real, and away from the holographic reality, which is this dimension. And the brain, I actually use the brain as my companion in the beginning, because we cannot, my dear friends and Michael, no matter what, the brain is stuck with us and we are stuck with the brain in this hologram, even though it's an illusion. This is how we see ourselves. And we need to make the brain our friend. So I take the brain with us for as long as I can. This is why I label things. This is why I say doorway. This is why we say portal. This is why the super watcher. When I do the super watcher exercise, I actually now start to disconnect the essence of you from the body. And I know you see all the different steps kind of coming together. And Michael, I'm sure you also know that putting this work out there, how worrisome I was. How worried.
It had to be done. It had to be done. And it is such a gift to the world. So for people listening, and we're going to get to as much as we can, and we'll even do an exercise at the end, you follow through this, and Jessica and I are going to be working on this, but it resonates with the core of our being. You will be able to step onto the other side of the veil, or as Eben Alexander describes, into a world that is more real than real.
I love what he's done for us, Eben. And I love that his experience and his words and his translation of that word and his teaching of that experience, like it takes a lot to actually penetrate the masses in the way that he has. The other reality is more real. People actually do come to me and say, but Christina, and they haven't seen the book. They don't know that there's a plot twist. There's halfway through things change, right? It becomes more about our life than it is about connecting with those we've lost. The number one concern is, but Christina, is that going to hold me back in my grief if I'm connecting with the person I've lost? Is that going to reactivate my grief? And that's perfect. That's a great and fair question. And I say to them, it may appear that way at first, but it's actually a necessary component of the healing process that we keep skipping because we're supposed to. There's a lot of cultural expectations on grief and the way death is perceived, that I believe that without that final connection, the exploration of the relationship, when one partner is not in the physical hologram and one is, there's a physicist called Robert Lanza. And my friend, you got to, I don't know how you're going to do it if you get him on here.
There is no death, only death in our reality.
We only die in the reality of our other people, family and friends.
Someone else's reality, not in ours.
Now, if I had a drum roll right now, when I heard Michael, doesn't it just like hit you over the head?
It makes total sense. And it's something Jessica and I talk about when someone passes on, and this is going to be Jessica's words. I'm going to steal her words. I don't feel sorry for the person who passes on. It's for everybody who remains behind.
And we think they are not somewhere. And I love what you said in the beginning. I don't know whether we're recording or not at the time. You said that it's still grief, it's still pain.
Yeah.
We are grieving.
That's real.
There's there is no way to get to this place. I call it life reentry and beyond reentry. There's no way for us to get there unless we have to grieve, unless we grieve in the beginning.
Yeah.
And there is no other way, because the loss of our partner, child, friend, family member is real for us. Just like eating food is real. Just like this table looks real, even though table and space, energy, mass, like all that stuff, it's the same. But for us and our experience in the way that we are right now, that is limited, or we have allowed it to be limited, we need to grieve. Otherwise, we can't go through this journey at all.
It's why if somebody says, well, I listened to the show with Michael and Christina, and they're fine, they're doing great, you don't have to grieve. Shake yourself out of it. Come on, get along with life. They're doing great. What?
No, that's and unless we grieve, I grieved for a long time. I'm the worst griever actually, because I'm gonna say to you, Michael, I can tell you love a lot. Like I love my people way too much. This is why I stepped into, before all of this. My thesis is on the stages of bereavement from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. This is what I studied in college. So I wanted to know how it is I can help people, because I love people too much and I couldn't imagine losing them. I could not. So I am the worst griever in the world. This is my lessons, right? Everything I've written about is the things I needed to learn to survive and then thrive and go beyond it. If I wasn't experiencing difficulty at the level that I was experiencing it, we wouldn't have been writing this book, right?
It's always there to serve us. I never want to call a loss a gift, but if we step back and we look at it and understand it's all just a story and it's all strings, it was a setup. It was a
It was a
setup for
setup.
you to do the
Yes.
work you're doing now.
Yeah. And I went on I go to the temple journey. I go through it nearly every day.
And tell us about this. Let's
Yes.
accelerate forward. We've got about 20 minutes to play with. What is the temple journey? What is the door? How do we find our way there?
So the very first thing that I had to do was to convince the brain that in order to access the invisible world, even though the invisible world is here, we don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to go through a doorway or an opening or anything. I had to cheat the brain and say, brain, come with me somewhere and make it look as if it was just another room, make it look as if it was just another place. So I said to the brain, we're going to go through a doorway and you're going to tell me what this doorway is made of. And can I tell you the very first thing that I discovered? So when I was doing it for myself, before I taught it to anyone else, I used to see this crystal door. That was my first door. It was this beautiful crystal door that would open and close like this. The very first time I guided the 50 people to go through the doorway, I told them it was a crystal door. And if this was just imagination, they should have seen a crystal door. Like basically guided meditation, right? Yeah. That's not what happened at all. So they come back and they told me two things. One, Christina, and this was across the board, I didn't see, my door wasn't crystal. And then everyone's like, me neither. My door was like this and like this and like this and like this and like that. And that's, I became a student of my own model. And the process you see in this book is actually the journey that I was taught from all the different brains and consciousness that I've gone through it. There's a mirror. I don't remember which chapter it is. There's a mirror inside the Temple of the Universes.
Might be 6.
this book will be read from the beginning to the end because people will want to know what comes next. There is a mirror inside one of the steps, and the mirror was placed there from a theoretical point of view of the mirror of the what's below so above. Like, I wanted to emphasize that that point of view. It was there for a completely different reason. Everyone who went to look in the mirror, what they saw and what they experienced blew me away. Nothing to do with what I thought my logical brain would actually provide for people. This experience, so the very first step, we take people through a doorway, and everyone's doorway and a portal is different. The brain is with us in that moment in time, and we take the brain and we safely take it through this experience. When we go through, and we'll do this exercise, when we go through that first step, I ask the person to be aware of any changes in their feeling, energy, joy, happiness, whatever they're feeling as they are going through the gateway. And Michael, as I'm saying this, aren't you already feeling like something? Like,
Energy.
as soon as did you feel like as soon as I say this?
You started saying it, and I went to what I often do, and I started circulating energy because there was so much here. And so I started carrying up my spine and down around because I'm like, ooh, I'm feeling energy. Let's move this.
It's literally just, it's immediate. A journalist from a newspaper who was interviewing me last week, he did the journey before we got on the call, and he said to me, I was taking my wife to the doctor, and I was waiting at the waiting room, and I said, oh, I'll just go there. So he read the book, closed his eyes, and he said he went so fast at the waiting room, and he was just blown away by the speed
I
in
love
which
that he was in a waiting room. It's like,
when he said that, he was on the phone, he couldn't see me. I was like, whenever people tell me to go to the waiting room to wait, I laugh at myself. Because for those who are listening, it's part of, I coined the waiting room, the stuck place between the life we leave behind and the life we could have and the life we're tomorrow. When we enter the gateway, the second thing that I learned in the first class, which is phenomenal, I was not gonna talk about connecting with those they've lost for another couple of steps further down the road. Michael and everyone here, when they came back, they said to me, were we supposed to connect already? I saw my person. And this is what they were doing. And I was sitting, this is the first class, right? I was just sitting there, and we were all on video, on like we are now on Zoom. Mm-hmm. And from people from all over the world. And I was listening and I was watching, and I was like, I can't believe it. We are supposed to go and visit with them as much as we think they're supposed to come and visit with. Like, this is not a one-way relationship. This is a two-way street. Like, you know how people say, did you get a sign? Did you ever have a visitation? Like, what about you going there? You visiting. So that's the first step. And the second step is the super watcher journey, where I ask people to take their, I guess, consciousness, soul, the part of them that is here out of their body, and have it move in a way that is not just physical with steps. So people start to dance, like their energy changes and skip and fly, lots of flying going on. The third step is we go through a portal. I used it, the black hole, temple journey is a journey outside of time and space. There's no time. You receive information outside of any time. You see lives from the past, the future, everything's there. We go through the portal, the experience, and then on the other side, I ask them to look for an object.
Yeah.
Critical. Very critical point for the brain. And I tell them not to let go of what they shouldn't be. They should just look around and see what's there. This was, as you know, my
Rubber ducky, you're the one.
and I saw that my kids are older. They're like 16 and 18 years old. When we were doing that, they were just 2 years younger. And I haven't seen a rubber ducky. This is a gift, so this is more expensive than a regular rubber ducky. But I feel like a rubber ducky. How in the world am I going to find a rubber ducky? And everyone who came back, all their objects were weird, strange, unexpected. That's the way to go. The harder it is to accidentally find the object in this reality, the better the proof the brain needs.
So, for example, there's a woman who sees a necklace with 3 stones.
Yes, yes.
Tell us about the rubber ducky then.
So the rubber ducky was my object. So when you are doing the book, when you're reading the book with a group of people, and you go to these experiences together and you come back and then you share, and let's say you're sharing the object, you're actually entering each other's consciousness as well. So expect the other people in the group to be finding your objects and you finding their objects, because we are entangled. We seem we appear separate, but we are all connected, and especially inside the consciousness. So as soon as I found my object, everyone in the class was finding yellow rubber duckies like everywhere, in their pool, in their bathtubs that were just shipped from the manufacturer, and they open it, and like they were our like Facebook private group stream basically was replaced with rubber duckies. Why is this important? Someone's like, okay, so what? So what? I find a rubber ducky. Why is this important? The reason why this is important, there's 2 reasons. One is that these are proof that whatever we experience in the invisible reality of our consciousness, actually we can bring it here.
As
And
above, so below, just like you were saying.
yes, we can bring it here. And the number 2 thing is, if that is true, now just think about that. Just entertain the idea of what it's called the observer effect. Oh my God, Michael.
On that note, let's talk about the plot twist briefly, which is we're going to see our loved ones, purportedly so that we can heal the grief and see our loved ones. But what's really going on?
It's so much bigger than that. We kept going, and every step of the way, the more people didn't need to connect anymore in the way that they did in the beginning. It was as if they had their conversation, they connected. Now we started approaching reality creation, which was unexpected, Michael. Reality creation, the observer, the multiverse, the multiple realities, like the reality, the belief set, the idea, the thought that you observe the most collapses into the reality that you're living in the hologram.
So then what is, real briefly, the miracle universe?
The miracle universe is the universe that you want to experience. And if we put our observation attention into that, into every detail of that, and feel the joy and vibration of the temple universe, because when you go in there, you feel like it's like a near-death experience. Like you feel that joy. People describe it like as if they had a real one. Then the more we observe that, the more that becomes true in the hologram, in our reality, in life, in what we think life is. And then the field, which is the final step, is what everything is. And talk about automatic writing. The field was going to be my last step. And every week that I was teaching this, the field kept coming like, now, talk about it now. And I kept saying to the class, this step is coming next, but the field wants to come through, because everything's connected and we're all swimming in this quantum experience. And we should never ever forget that. And we should live our life from that place going forward.
What does that mean for you? What does that truly mean for you?
That the person I loved and lost is not inside my hologram in the way that he was, but his existence is still present, just not in the way that I know and understand right now. And I'm okay with that. I dedicated the book to him. And I hope he's alive somewhere else in other universes, experiencing whatever it is that he's experiencing. And number two, I am the creator of my reality. And that is a responsibility that I believe we should all take on. Tonight, the observer effect, like all those things, everyone needs to know about them, and they need to understand that they play a big role into everyone's life. Even when we observe something because we don't like it. Politics is a good example. I'm not going to say anything more about that. We actually bring that into reality, and people say, but how is that possible that this happened? When all we see is that, that's all we're going to get, because we are observing it.
When you say the word politics, I can't, forgive me, everybody. The only thing I can say is it's all love. That's immediately my heart goes to love. It's all love.
But
It's
that's
all
the
love.
right
It's all
observation.
love.
And if only we all did that, because we knew the opposite would have been creating the opposite. Mm-hmm. If we knew that's the way we need to live our life, imagine the evolution we would experience, Michael.
Jessica, my wife, she just came back from a Joe Dispenza meditation retreat. And she's the producer of the show. And she asked me, she goes, instead of actually doing work for the show, would you mind if I just sat for 4 hours a day in meditation and created? I said, sounds good to me.
Yes, exactly right. And I think we would teach a curriculum in our schools differently. When my daughters come to me and say, if my daughter had a breakup with a boyfriend, or she's now nearly 19 years old, Mommy, how can I feel better? What's the best way? I tell her that you need to observe a new reality for yourself. I don't talk to her about all the traditional things about, oh, honey, whatever. And then we talk about the new reality. And it's easier to teach this to a child than it is to teach it to an adult who has lived with the old brain for as long as we have. So teach your children. I took my children to the temple immediately. We lay in bed and we held hands and we went. And then they didn't know and said, Mommy, how did you learn to do this? I said, Mommy created. And they're like, cool, Mommy, I'll go tonight. And then they told their friends. And then they started talking about what they saw and they experienced, because kids are different, right?
Then you've got to tell us, and we're going to go from here. We're going to go real quickly to where people can find the book, and then we're going to go into an exercise. But tell us then about Bjarne and the cafe.
The very first thing that I saw that blew me away was Bjarne sitting at a French cafe, and he saw me and he goes, bring me the girls. First, I was a little upset about that because what about me?
Wait a second! Didn't we do this again on the other side, right at the end? And
but,
continuity.
I mean, it blew me over. But I didn't create that, right? It was bring me the girls. Like that's what it was, and that was from him, and that's what he needed. And I immediately just brought the girls there, and we all hugged together. And I was explaining this to the girls, and my husband today was there too, listening. And he was trying to understand it. And Alina, my older daughter, said, Eric, don't worry. It's just that's a different reality than this one. We're here with you now, but this was our own experience. I mean, and I'm going to end with this. It's possible that we can make new memories with the people who are no longer here. Because that, to me, is a new memory when we saw him there. Michael, talk about paradigms shift. Talk about a new way to look at something that we've been looking at as if there's no other way to do this but say goodbye, and there's no. We can create a new memory if we need to, and it's not unreal at all. It's as real. It's more real than this one. That's the thing.
Woohoo! All right, where can people go, Christina, to find your absolutely beautiful book? And like I said, Jessica and I are going to be diving in. We're going to be going on these journeys, and I think we're going to make it. We tend to do things very repetitively, not in a non-heart way, but we're gonna do like setup ritual and go through the doorway, go into the temple world, and we're going to do this on a repeated basis. This may even be We have about 10 days off for our winter break, so to speak. This may be where we journey each day.
That would, and I want to know what you expect. Like the best gift you can do for me and for others is to share it. The more we share what we see, the more real we make that experience. It's amazing. And the book, where did you go? Book.com.
Yeah.
And where did you go? Google it on Amazon, on every bookstore, but the main page will be where did you go? Book.com. You can click on all the different retailers. Amazon is my favorite place to buy this, and it's not a book. It looks like a book, but it's a gateway. It's a door. This is a door. I actually wanted them to put a door in the front, but this is even better. It's a doorway. Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful. So if you didn't catch where did you go book.com, come on over to inspirenationshow.com and we will get you over to where did you go book.com. Christina, this has been truly, truly phenomenal. Clearly a sister kin from another mother. We will be connecting on both sides of the veil. I have no doubt about it, and I'm sure we have done so many, many, many times before.
Yeah.
Would you mind leading us in a very short journey?
Yes, and just to prepare everyone, this will be just a glimpse, just the first step. I believe in a slow entry. No need to go fast. This is here for you, waiting at any time you want to go to it. And I'm going to, and can I start now, Michael? Is that okay?
So if you're driving down the road, I wouldn't even recommend pull over. Wait till you get to a nice sacred space, like a waiting room. Then go ahead and dive in and do this.
I want everyone to close their eyes and take a deep breath. And another deep breath. And as you're sitting on your chair, or laying on your bed, or sitting in your car, parked, slowly start walking towards a magnificent doorway. With your eyes closed, slowly approach however it looks like, and whatever shows up right in front of you. Your doorway, your opening, your portal is going to look different for you. Start noticing the details of your opening. How does it look like? What is it made of? Feel the energy that is coming from that doorway. It is a doorway that's always been there, and it's safe, and it belongs to you. And slowly we're gonna start walking through it. Whether you open the door or the door opens on its own, however it is for you, is absolutely fine. And as we're walking slowly through it, feel the change of the vibration, of the feeling in your heart. You're leaving one dimension and you're entering another. You're entering a new space. As you walk through it, look around you, see what's on the other side, take everything in, situate yourself, notice if there's anything different, if there's anyone there, And if there's nobody there, that's okay too. Feel the energy of this new room, home, space, area, whatever you feel that it is, and take in all the details. You're a part of that, and it's always going to be there for you to visit it. There are other steps and other places to go to, but for now, take one last look. If you have met someone there, say your goodbye and turn around and look at your opening again in your doorway and slowly make your way out, passing under and through your beautiful door and onto the other side, back in this reality. Slow steps, taking with you the energy, the feeling, and the vibration of that place, and bring it here with you. Now it belongs to you. You're a part of that place. And find yourself back on your seat, taking a deep breath. You're back here, and slowly open your eyes. Take another breath, and we're back home and back in this reality. And you can slowly open your eyes. Michael, what did you experience?
I thought it was going to be a red door from like Notting Hill. It's not what it was. It was this giant behemoth of a door, almost like granite, but it was like tarnished, this greenish tarnish of a metal. I don't know if it's silver or bronze. This greenish tarnish with like roots on it, like tree roots on it, and I was feeling the roots. And when I opened it, I had a third person perspective of watching the me, and the me was tiny, like it was a little kid opening, and there was like a crystal doorknob, like my grandmother's old doorknobby things. I don't even think anybody uses crystal doorknobs anymore. And you pull the door open, and at first I'm floating in space. So it didn't actually go to a room. Then I think I'm on grass. And but it was grass and space. There was no, almost like an island, like what Isabel described. It was maybe an
Mhm.
island of grass, and then loved ones started to appear. Auntie Pua, who's my spiritual elder from Hawaii, our best man Jack, who passed away at 93 years young. And then I had my last question I was going to ask you about got answered. Um,
Oh,
Pumpkin,
Michael.
Pumpkin and Sour were there. Sour is my
Wow.
service dog. Pumpkin, my coyote that was by my
Yes.
side for 17 years, my coyote. I was hers. And then grandparents. And so you answered my pet question. And then more just started to appear. And then there were layers. Auntie Pua said I have a couple Hawaiian guards by my side, and they were off in the darkness with their poles just behind, big
Yes.
Samoan, and then it was time to come back. So wow,
And
wow.
what's the feeling you're feeling right now?
Um, somewhere between peace and tears of joy and
Mhm.
a gentle puree. I've been blended. I don't
Wow.
have a means to process the full extent of the emotions yet, I'd say. But the first I asked myself when I came back and came out of this giant doorway and onto these granite stairs, and peace. Peace was,
And and peace and joy are the two feelings, and emotion and tears that people experience. And we were there for what, 2 3 minutes? I don't think it was longer than that.
yeah,
5 maybe.
No, probably less. I'm looking at my timer for the show.
Yeah.
Maybe we got to 4 or 5 minutes.
And the experience of meeting and connecting and feeling all of this in such a short amount of time. And pets. My dog died about a month ago, and I saw him there. Yes.
The weirdest, I'm so sorry. The weirdest
No, no,
thing
no, no, it's
is
okay.
I kept on going to Pumpkin's gums. And so when Pumpkin passed away, and there's a whole long story, a Tibetan woman saying you must let her go naturally, and us
Yeah.
being there in this whole journey together with her through the end. I remember the color changing in her gums and the color changing out of her gums. And
Wow.
so here I am in this little grass island, and I keep on wanting to. I'm like, that seems disrespectful. I'm like pulling up in this 2 3 minute journey. I'm pulling up her lip and I'm pressing her
Wow.
gums because she's real
Yeah,
and she's
she's real.
alive.
Yeah, and she's real, and she's there, and it's interesting. When I saw my dog Tyson, the feeling, the emotion that I had playing with him. It's only a few days ago that I've had that experience because his passing is recent. Blew me away that we can connect with our pets there as well. Like I said, I wasn't planning on anyone being there or anything, but
Yeah.
there they are. They're really there. And you didn't even know. I didn't talk about pets. I don't think I have pets in my book at all. There was like
No, that's why I've got it as the last question
a
here. I'm like,
question, yeah, and it was answered, right? It was answered because of the experience you had, because of my experience, and I know thousands and millions of people will see their pets there as well because that's what happened. That's what happens.
I can't thank you enough, Christina. This is doorway now sounds like a very small term, even though the door was like way up there. But this is a doorway. I can't recommend it enough, and I'm going to treasure this and treasure our first of many meetings. And we're going to go play on the other side.
And we're
And
gonna have a lot of fun and creation. Death, and
oh
the one
heck,
thing that
yeah.
I leave people with is we go out to find out about death and we find out about life.
Mhm.
That's all there is life. That's all we have.
I call myself and I call all of us alchemists. So it's turning lead into gold. But to me, I always say what it is playing on the other side of the veil. As above, so below.
Yeah.
This helps us get on the other side of the veil, which is the more real than real. That's where we are. We are the creators here, but that's where the illusion is that we can't create.
Yeah.
And so we play and assemble, and then things happen here. We go, wow, what do you know?
And there's a deeper reality, and people miracles and healing and all that stuff, that all makes sense when we can access that deeper reality. Joe Dispenza talks about that, and that deeper reality is where we go to when we cross over, whatever you want to call it. That's where we are in a reality that makes more sense than this one. Synchronicities make more sense there as well because it's like, oh yeah, that's why this happened, because it's all connected.
Bingo, bingo,
Ah,
bingo. Woohoo! Thank you so
Michael,
much, Christina. We
thank you
could just
so
keep
much.
going on and on. We will have to
Yes,
have you back.
we will
Absolutely.
have another time.
So
Thank you
for
so much. Yes.
thank you. Big
and
hug.
and
Big hug.
big hug and my love to your beautiful wife. And thank you for having me. It's been an honor and pleasure. And I can't wait to share your amazing show with everyone I know. Thank you, Michael.
It so goes both ways. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get where did you go, and begin walking through that doorway and creating your new reality today, and shine bright. Woohoo!
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much.
Awesome, 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 beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I don't have any words to powerful enough words, so I'm going to leave it with this. Go pumpkin, go pumpkin, go, go, go.
It doesn't get any better than this. Go pumpkin indeed. Yeah.
Coyote power.
It's amazing, Michael. Thank you. And thank you for the work you do. And you are shining bright. Lots of light your way. And keep being the way you are exactly. There is no other way. You are made for this world and for you to be a teacher for all the people that need you. So thank you.
thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!